Ohio State said, hold up, wait a minute, let me put some pimping in it. With TreVeyon Henderson, we got to talk about it after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You got to help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time, and today we got to talk about the Ohio State University securing another one, like DJ Khaled off in here, setting records with a 15th commit, and it is a beauty. Number one tailback in the 2021 class. Yes, TreVeyon Henderson pulled the trigger in March to commit to the Buckeyes, giving them yet another running back to go along with Evan Pryor and a loaded Ohio State class led by Jack Sawyer, who is outstanding, and the dude from Pickerton is absolutely just going to be the next heir apparent out there. I mean, you got Zach Harrison out there, you got Jonathan Cooper, and oh yeah, you got this kiddo on the way with JT already crystal balled in there. Look, earlier today, I took a look at TreVeyon Henderson's 247 page, and I saw analyst after analyst after analyst coming through with a crystal ball to Ohio State. I counted 23 an hour before TreVeyon Henderson told the world that he is joining up to make this what could be the greatest recruiting class of all time. Ryan Day's Ohio State is a problem in 2020. It's going to be a problem in 2021. It's going to be a real problem in 2022. And this 21 class could be going after it all in 2023, man. Just going through it again. What Kerry Coombs has been able to do, since he became defensive coordinator at Ohio State, even taking into account what he was doing before he left to go take Tennessee Titans job, has been remarkable, right? You get Jacalyn in there, and I really love that kiddo. He's a natural cornerback. But then Evan Pryor, yeah, okay, that's awesome and that's cool, but you follow with TreVeyon Henderson in the same month during this time? Look, I was having this discussion right here on the channel live show where I was joined by Shehan Jayaraja, who is Dave Campbell, Texas high school football insider, college insider for the magazine. And I was going, who's going to take advantage of this time, this unprecedented dead period, for which we've never had a dead period from March to April. We've never had what we're going through right now happen in the history of the world, let alone in sports. But Ohio State had just continued to stack recruits. And now I'm beginning to understand. If you are Ohio State, you out here like you on your second strike. You ain't got nothing to lose. You like Meek Mill and In God We Trust. You out here trying to get some polo and some shell tops. You trying to roll heads. And they are assembling to take on Thanos just before he decides to crash his ship through Earth at Tony's place of business and try to destroy everything you know and love. That is what they are going up with. I mean, they over here with the Avengers Assemble and Cap got the hammer, or at least that's what it looks like on paper. And I challenge you, show me where the weakness is in that class. They have an average rating of over 95. You can count on one hand how many classes of over 94 we've had an average rating for, right? And when you look at some of those classes for which Ohio State has had one, you look at 2017 Ohio State. You look at 2017 Alabama. Jerry Jeudy's in that 17 class. Jeff Okudah is in that 2017 class. Tua Tagovailoa's in that 17 class. Chase Young's in that 17 class. That is what they are assembling. They are assembling the next group of monsters. And I was having this discussion with Jerry Strotsky on my radio show, the RJ Young Show, 97.1 Sports Animal, 9 to 11 a.m., where I'm having this I thought it was a cool discussion about who the best 2020 kiddo is going to be. Who did the coaches think? And if you take a look at this poll taken across 65 coaches anonymously in ESPN, Eric Gilbert tops the list. And I think that's a really good pick. 6'5", 253 pounds, highest rated tight end that we've seen in several years. Getting 8 votes along with Brian Brzee, defensive tackle at Clemson. And they put together an outstanding class. But the way that Ohio State has just extended its lead, like earlier this morning, we're talking about Ohio State having what I think is a 20-point lead, and I want to go ahead and pull this up right quick so that we're all on the same page about just what Ohio State is doing, because I saw this news, and I'm having, dinner with the girlfriend, and I'm going, I got to go home, and I got to take a look at this, because the people's is not going to be able to hold it together. I know the people's is going to appreciate that. Y'all need to go ahead and tell Laurel, thank you for letting me leave the house so that we can go ahead and have ourselves a discussion about what Ohio State is doing, because she understands the value of this channel. She understands how much y'all enjoy it. She's been a part of this channel. You understand what it is. Now, TreVeyon Henderson also committed to Ohio State, 5'11", 195 pounds, without visiting in March or April, and that's a big deal to me. Now, some people would say, hey, man, that's a good reason to put him on flip watch because he ain't actually been there yet. He also getting recruited by Tony Alford. And you remember Tony Alford brought in Zeke Elliott and J.K. Dobbins, okay? So it's not as if he's not joining up where they've just been putting running backs into the league and they've had outstanding seasons. Zeke, we know, was number 4 overall to the Dallas Cowboys, became an NFL rushing champ, got his money. J.K. Dobbins probably get drafted in the first round. Rushed for over 2,000 yards last year as a Buckeye. And TreVeyon Henderson rushed for 2,000 yards last season too. On a team that went 15-0 up in Hopewell, Georgia. And he wasn't even the sole tailback. He didn't get that many carries. That's how good they were. And he goes from being ranked 226th in the top 247 to number 11 overall over the course of the evaluation period, based entirely on what he did as a junior. And when you look at the tape, you see it. But he's also tremendous as a defensive back. I mean, he had like 4 picks. And he returned a couple for touchdowns. He's silky smooth. He has breakaway speed. He's been compared to Sony Michel at the next level, elite athleticism. But I love this quote about why he chose Ohio State. The people there, they really care about their players and their futures. They set their players up for good opportunities for life after football. I love the way they play. I grew up rooting for them, the way they had elite Ezekiel Elliott, who is elite, and really liked their offense. It fit well. Now, again, you cannot underscore just how big a deal it is to have this kiddo in the boat, and that they convinced him to do it with Evan Pryor already in there. I'm not used to seeing that kind of stuff, man. Like at Oklahoma, you're still talking about at one point being able to put TreVeyon Henderson in there with Kamara Wheaton. That's off the board. I talked to TreVeyon Henderson earlier this month, and until we had this thing that happened, he was going to take a visit to Oklahoma for the spring game. So that probably really screwed up Oklahoma's opportunity to go and win him, because I got to believe that if they'd had a chance to get him, maybe he would have extended this to the summer, and maybe you could get him to change up. But no, with him committing to Ohio State, they're not just number 1. They're number 1 by 60 points. That's 280.61 points to 220.98 to number 2, Ohio State. By the way, this is the point where I got to point out to you that North Carolina is ranked number 4 in the country with 11 commits, which is ridiculous. Now it's 11. Ohio State's got 15. That's half your class. That's more than half your class. 25, as a rule, 25 scholarships. 15 of them are in. You got 10 4-star recruits. You got 3 5-star recruits and a class average ranking of 95.34. My goodness. Now, for those of you that don't know, the scale goes all the way up to 110. With anybody being over 100, being basically a franchise player at the NFL level, anybody rated a 5-star is considered a first-round draft pick. That's how you see these things, right? And then when you take into account that they have Donovan Jackson, who is the nation's best offensive guard, you're also going, oh, man, they got it on offense and defense. Add to that Kyle McCord, pro-style quarterback, 6'3", 204 pounds. Marvin Harrison Jr., yes, the Marvin Harrison's child is out here catching passes for them. I mentioned you, Kalen Johnson. I did the upload on him. Mike Hall being in here, defensive tackle, 6'3", 290 pounds, 4-star dude. It keeps getting better for them. And that's what's scary about it for the rest of the country. Because the way that we had been able to talk about Clemson for so long and how they were able to just put together this magnificent class, that's how we're going to be talking about Ohio State. Because I thought maybe there was going to be a lull with Urban Meyer transitioning out and Ryan Day transitioning in. But I'm here to tell you, Ryan Day's only lost 1 game as a head coach at Ohio State, or just in general, quite honestly. And it was to Clemson. It was to the team they finished national runner-up. They sunned the Big Ten. They stopped a mud hole in Michigan and walked it dry. They played what I thought was a phenomenal schedule last year, playing 4 teams to play for conference championships, 2 that won conference championships, and really were in the argument to be one of the best college football teams of all time, and still are. If LSU hadn't done what LSU did, Clemson would have also been in that argument as well. But the schedule that Ohio State played showed you who they are. Going into the 2020 season, they get an early test with Oregon, and then they get to try to run through the Big Ten once again and get another shot at a national championship. Now, for the teams that missed out, Oklahoma, Michigan, Texas, all on the list, but Oklahoma was really contender for this. It hurts tremendously for Oklahoma. It hurts because you lost Trey Sermon to Ohio State already. So they've effectively picked up 3 running backs in 1 month. Trey Sermon, Evan Pryor, TreVeyon Henderson. Yo. So I've been saying that maybe Oklahoma needs to take a look at Zach Evans because you need somebody to help you in the 2020 class, but not having TreVeyon Henderson in your 21 class means you got to start looking at other guys after you really wanted this dude and you were early in on him. Now, I'm sure that everybody, including Oklahoma, is still going to work to try to flip TreVeyon Henderson and try to get him on campus in the fall, but you got to believe with the strength of this class that they put together already in March that he would be foolish to try to go somewhere else, and yet and still it could happen. The door's open. It's about getting him on campus for visits. Virginia is a much farther place to get to from Oklahoma than Ohio. We also know that in Columbus, they love their Buckeyes, right? Not to say that in Norman, they don't love their Sooners, but because we kind of do. But I'm just looking at what the spring game could have meant to OU, because you were going to be able to unveil Baker Mayfield's Heisman statue. People were going to get to see Baker Mayfield. The kids were going to get to see Baker Mayfield. You're going to play the spring game under the lights. But Ohio State stayed working the phones during a dead period and picked up another outstanding recruit in TreVeyon Henderson. Kudos to the Ohio State coaching staff, which has 5 of the top 10 recruiters in the country right now. Tony Alford, got to be at the top of the list. Kerry Combs behind him. Then you can talk about Brian Hartline, who's just been a monster since being the wide receivers coach at Ohio State. You add Al Washington in there. And then you're talking about Ryan Day. Just tremendous what they've been able to do. I'm going to be interested to see what they do with the last 10 spots and whether or not they just call it good at like 22 or 23, because right now it's a monster. It's pulling away. Nobody's going to catch Ohio State at this point. It's just a question of whether or not they're going to put together the best class that we've ever seen in the rankings era. All right, that is it for me. Deuces.